I'm a person that I would rather, even if it's my team, I would prefer a blowout emotionally. I would rather us know we're going to lose by 45 to nothing by the second quarter than to lose by a missed field goal in overtime. I beat my team, beat us up, embarrass us, and I will feel better about it emotionally. Now, I still want to win. I still want to feel like I got a chance, but just whoop us.
Yo, this is the Inflection Collective. All of us are connected, reflective, real life perspective, respected. The banter, the chit chat, no cap, is big facts, so kick back. This here is done there, been there.
Yeah, you said you had a house full of people, but that's because you were having are we allowed to say Super Bowl party without having to pay for it? We have to say the big game party.
Yeah, I had a big game party down in, my friends didn't show up. My friends were all, Jay was on a yacht somewhere. My friend was somewhere. He went back to Las Vegas with his girl or whatnot. So they were gone by then, but I had a big Super Bowl party. And it was a coordination once again because Kansas City Chiefs officially a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes, his third time winning Super Bowl MVP. The Chiefs did it. And here's the thing about it, Eunice. We don't talk much about the games on this podcast, but I got to talk about Patrick Mahomes because as soon as I saw San Francisco kick that field goal in overtime and they gave Patrick Mahomes that opportunity to win the game on their possession, I knew it was over because Patrick Mahomes is just that guy.
I feel that in every overtime, once somebody kicks the field goal on that first possession, I don't care who the quarterback is. I know, they know they got to get a touchdown to beat me. I think anytime a Super Bowl goes to overtime, I don't know if I have PTSD from being with the Titans in the Super Bowl. It's like I didn't have a dog in this particular fight, so my emotions. But just as a sports fan, you can't help but feel the excitement for a potentially winning team, the devastation of a potentially losing team. So overtime is always great dramatics and theatrics, but also it's like I'm a person that I would rather, even if it's my team, I would prefer a blowout emotionally. I would rather us know we're gonna lose by 45 to nothing by the second quarter than to lose by a missed field goal in overtime. I beat my team, beat us up, embarrass us, and I will feel better about it emotionally. Now, I still want to win. I still want to feel like I got a chance, but just whoop us.
I totally agree. I like my team is out of the playoffs. I'm so happy sometimes when my team doesn't even make the playoffs because I know that particular team, they weren't good enough to actually win it all. But sometimes they get into the playoffs and you think maybe there's a chance. And then your emotions and your anxiety starts getting up and then your anticipation starts percolating a little bit more than it should be. I got PTSD from, we talking about done there, been that. My dad was always saying, my real dad said he was going to come pick me up on the stoop on Saturday.
He always got to go somewhere with this.
Well,
I knew where the story was going as soon as you said my real dad.
this is done.
I knew this was going to be an abandonment issue story as soon as you said my real dad. I knew
we're talking about trauma, but this is my trauma.
I got a real dad. I have a real dad too, and I knew we're keeping it light. We're keeping it light, okay? When we start talking about real dads, I already know where it's going.
I'm working through my traumas. That's what I'm doing. It's just like I said, sometimes you still get triggered. And as a fan,
bring it back.
When you get anticipation and you feel like, okay, this might be the year, and then they disappoint you because they don't show up when they're supposed to, and they said it. I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I knew it, y'all. I be trying to get him to pull it back, like Mike.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I saw it.
We were talking about
like
the fans
I literally,
of the San Francisco 49ers.
If you're watching it on YouTube, y'all can see the done there, been that screen behind the mic. I can see the writing on the wall from here.
Yeah. It was coming. You know it was coming.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. I will say, your team and my team did it to me this year. University of Alabama. From very early on, they were not a disciplined team. They were making really bad penalties all season. And so I didn't have a lot invested in them emotionally this year. I want them to win every game. I'm still a fan, but I wasn't emotionally invested in them. And I remember when they made it to the SEC championship game, I didn't even try to watch the game. I was working that day. I didn't even try to get it off because I didn't want to see the embarrassment. And as I kept checking the score of the game and Alabama was leading the majority of the game, I kept saying, okay, I'm getting frustrated. Just go ahead and beat us so we can move on. And by the time they beat Georgia and then made it to the play, I was like, I tried not to get involved here. And then we know how that ended. So I enjoyed Super Bowl.
And that's what I'm talking about. The anticipation of getting so close and then just having your emotions just dissolved at the end. Imagine being an Atlanta Falcons fan having a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots and losing that lead in the second half. I'm talking about they have never gotten past that. So imagine being San Francisco. In the last 4 years, you've gone to 2 Super Bowls, lost to the same team, and in both of those, you blew 10-point leads. So being a fan is a hard road to crawl sometimes, especially if your team disappoints you. It's good to get there. It's good to say you've gotten to the Super Bowl, you gotten to the pinnacle. But if you don't win it all at the end of the day, when that confetti comes down, you just want to kick everybody. You've already seen
it's hard. It's hard.
You've seen
it's
videos
really hard.
of people destroying flat screen televisions because their team lost. One to fight
and that's not okay. And that's not okay, guys. Let's just go ahead and say that's not okay. But you know what's interesting? And I worked for the Tennessee Titans when we made it to the Super Bowl. But the 2 weeks before for the AFC Championship game, it was the Music City Miracle, you know. And so again, that team was not. We lost. I remember we lost every preseason game. It was just our first year being the Titans after making the move up to the Tennessee Oilers. You know, so everything was new. It was a new stadium, new uniforms, new logo. And so there was not a lot expected of this team, but as the season went on, the Music City Miracle making it to the AFC Championship game, then going to the Super Bowl to lose by that 1 yard, that is PTSD. And so what I remember when I'm watching the Super Bowl and it's going to overtime, of course I have flashbacks from that, but it's also a challenge being around the losing team. I had to fly back on the team plane with the losing team. And let me tell you, to be around 50-something adult men who have sacrificed their lives, their bodies, their families' time with their kids, missing births, missing funerals, to be on that plane of the losing team, for a Super Bowl. You talk about waiting for the air was pressurized. Let me say that more so than on a normal flight. And it's an interesting feeling, right? To be on the outside, having no emotion, no attachment to it. I still can feel and recall the pain of losing a Super Bowl.
All that hard work from training camp to the mini camps they had before training camp, to the preseason games. That Titans team started off 6-0 before they're losing their first game of the season. I was covering that team that year, to winning the AFC Championship game, to getting to the Super Bowl, and then 1 yard away. How much pain did you feel on that plane, Eunice? How much did you see in those players' eyes, those 53 players that gave everything they wanted, everything they had to win that particular game? How much pain did you say it again? One more time. A lot of pain, right?
It was a lot of pain, but you know what? But let me say this. It was a lot of pain, and they were looking at me to show the emotion that they didn't feel they could show. And, you know, I was the girl on the team, you know, so and I was just like, well, I don't know. They didn't mean cry. They didn't mean cry. Just show the emotion. But here's the thing: as a sports professional, you are trained that you don't show emotion in the press box. You know, so it can be your team, it can be your friends. You sit in the press box, you get escorted and put out the press box if you dare cheer, yell, whatever. Okay. So I am naturally inclined to be very stoic when it comes to it sports events, right? So now you're on this plane, you're around these people you've been working with all year. I'm not inclined to show emotion. Obviously, we were disappointed. Obviously, we were upset. And I will say my memory of it this year was also different because Steve McNair is not with us anymore. Now, Frank Wycheck, who was also part of the Music City Miracle. And you just realize how sports is such a big part of our actual lived experience as friends, as teammates, as fans, as neighbors, how much sports is a part of our lives. And then when you have the spaces that aren't filled anymore, you know, it's always bigger than the game. It's a big game, the biggest game, but it's so many other things that are bigger than that that we saw on Sunday as well. Say this
because I was in that same locker room. I had to interview those players that day, that night after they lost, came up 1 yard short. I saw the disappointment in their eyes. The next year, I went to New York. The Giants went to the Super Bowl. They lost the Super Bowl. I went into the locker room and saw the pain, the disappointment of all that hard work that they had generated over the season to get to that point, only to come up short. Here's where I'm going right now, because
you are bad luck charm. You are the Drake. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was. I knew you was going to do that.
And
I put it on the team for you. I put it on the team. Maybe they were just disappointed being around me. Maybe.
But please, everybody's like, Mike, don't cover our team this year.
but I've covered a couple of World Series teams with the Yankees and a couple of NBA teams that went to the NBA chat. So I'm good. I'm good in bad.